So Kara, I'd love for us and those who are listening, is this take us through your career journey.
Oh yeah. So wow, that's a long story. Let's see how to figure out how to make that short, right? And so many years, right? So as I mentioned before, I started off in the service industry, hosting, waiting tables, bartending, paying for college. It was really flexible. I did not have the luxury of having somebody else to pay for my college, so I also didn't want to incur large amounts of debt. So I took turns doing those things and working odd jobs, working for attorneys and other things to kind of pay for my own bills and pay for college along the way. That worked. It was flexible, but it wasn't my passion. So I simultaneously was going to school, going to college, moved around to a couple different colleges. I was one of those who took longer than most to finish college.
Same
and I was
here.
embarrassed about that for a really long time, but I finished, right? So nobody cares really. If you're out there and you're in college, nobody really cares how long it took you.
Absolutely.
They don't.
Totally agree.
So I got my degree in Spanish because I fell in love with the language where I grew up in South Texas and the culture. It's a huge part of my life. And so I just didn't know. In college, I came across these jobs working for the city Parks and Recs department and doing those kinds of things. And what I did know, working all these different jobs, is that I wanted to have fun and that I really loved working with youth and having an impact. So I minored in recreation. For people who don't know what that is, you and I do because we worked in that field, but it's, having fun and getting paid for it basically is the recreation field. And why not? Who doesn't want to do that? Like go camping and get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang out with teenagers all day. Like when they're not your teenagers, you want to hang out with them. They're fun.
They are.
So as I got out of college, my first professional job was with the YMCA in Dallas area where we lived at the time. And I was a youth development director there, working with you and some of our other colleagues that I'm still close friends with. And I loved that job. It really was a lot of fun. It was very hands-on. I was definitely the right person for that because there wasn't a lot of funding given for that. And people would often tell you no. And for me, no's like, oh, okay, find another way around it. Got it. And so that's just what I did. That was a skill set somewhere in my life I learned. And after that, my husband and I have moved many, many times, and we were trying to get pregnant. And we moved in a place that I needed some fertility treatments. And the place was far away. So I decided to take a pause from working for some years. Which was challenging for me. I have a lot going on up here at all times. And so it needs to be harnessed or I'm not that pleasant. I'm not very fun when I'm bored. So after my first son was born, we moved back. Well, after all three of my kids were born in Arizona, we moved back to Texas. And I just knew I couldn't. Being a stay-at-home mom was a giant blessing that I'm still grateful for. And it wasn't enough to fill my bucket. And I had a lot of shame around that for a long time because I felt like there was this, well, you are so lucky that you get to do this. You should be so appreciative. And I was, and I had a lot up here that I wasn't a good mom or wife if I wasn't using these other parts of me. But I needed a job where I could be home with my kids. My husband's job was crazy. I needed flexibility. I needed my own hours. So I joined a network marketing company. And that's where I could make my own hours. That's where my beginning of entrepreneurship began. And it's kind of evolved from there. I've changed companies. I basically am trying to work it, like many of us, where I work as little as possible and still get paid really well. Like that's the ultimate goal, right?
Right.
So we're starting to move more towards real estate. And so, passive income and the flexibility in our family's lifestyle is really important. So being an entrepreneur, I found, is the best fit for me because I can take that career with me everywhere I move. And if I have a sick kid, I can be 100% there with them. Or if I want to go to the beach for the day because that's what I need, I can do that. I don't have to ask somebody for permission.
Isn't that great? I love that.
I love it.
I love that.